there was also something which is at the heart of pricing, what we are able to pay the farmer and all other stakeholders. And that is because in all the talk, when the November producer price was announced, and all the talk about the farmer should get A, the farmer should get B, the farmer is being cheated and all that, apparently there was something significant that had happened that the rest of us outside COCOBOD or outside the high echelon of COCOBOD did not know, because there were people at COCOBOD who didn't know. When I went around speaking with the workers and all that and explaining the state of the company and the industry to them, many of them didn't know about this. It is something that was first spoken of by His Excellency the President in the State of the Nation address. And that has to do with a rollover of 333,767 tons of cocoa.
Please repeat.
333,767 tons of cocoa.
Wow.
Which was sold in the 2023-2024 year at $2,600 a ton, but was not delivered.
How?
Yes. COCOBOD was unable to deliver.
And yet the monies had been collected.
The contracts have been signed.
Signed.
Yes. For the 23-24 season. You know, those were the contracts that were signed to do the syndicated loan.
Yes.
And 333,767 tons of that cocoa for 23-24 were not supplied by COCOBOD.
Because
there was no cocoa.
Oh, okay.
Because there was no cocoa.
So what's signed when there's no cocoa?
How did COCOBOD arrive at that estimation of yields, expected yields, and ask cocoa marketing company to go and sign contracts for that? So we did not supply, COCOBOD did not supply 333,767.
Wow.
That it has signed contracts and sold for $2,600. So in 24-25, COCOBOD had to start supplying these contracts that we call low price contracts.
Because a backlog.
Yes.
You have to supply it.
So the price of cocoa had gone up. That's when it went into the 10,000s, the 9,000s, at a point maybe 12,000 and all that. But you had 333,767 that you had to supply from your 2024-2025 stock. So while the farmer was producing for you, and the price was, let's say, on the average around 8,000 or 8,500, you were using that cocoa to service cocoa that you sold for 2,600 and could not deliver. So that is how come for the year 24-25, the FOB that COCOBOD declared was $4,850. Underline that. $4,850 for the 24-25 season. It is out of this $4,850 that the government, the MPP government, then gave the farmer share as $3,100,
okay,
which was 63.9% of the FOB of $4,850 that was declared. Now, mind you, cocoa prices were higher then than today.
True.
They were higher then than today. You can check.
Right.
Yet, the FOB that COCOBOD and the government of Ghana declared, upon which they gave the farmer a share, was $4,850.
Which is even less than 50%.
$4,850. Now, this is what happened.
Yes.
You know, because the issue of the rollover wasn't made public, the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture and Cocoa and Water, they didn't know. The Finance Committee of Parliament didn't know. Because you see, once you're going to supply a part of the cocoa at 2,600 and another part at, let's say, 6,600 or 7,000, you will do what is called a weighted average. Because it is not all the cocoa which is going for that price
True.
that people read about,
True.
or the average that you've done for the coming season.
Which is past and present.
Yes, the average that you've done. So
Average.
let's say for 25, 26,
Yeah.
you are looking at, let's say, from August 7th
Yeah.
to, let's say, July 31. So what is the average? What do you think will be the average, your forecast, the average price for cocoa for that period?
Right.
And then the central bank will give you an average for the exchange rate. And then you determine a percentage of the FOB for the farmer. And then once you've determined the farmer's FOB, the farmer's share, you multiply that by the exchange rate, the average that the central bank has given you, and that gives you the producer price. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
So even though the prices were higher then, you now have to look at what will my yields be for the year. So if you're expecting, let's say, 600,000, how much of the 600,000 will go for 2,600?
Yeah.
And how many will go for, let's say, 6,600 or 7,000 or 8,000? And then you strike a weighted average, and that becomes your FOB.
Right.
So the FOB of 4,850 was because of this huge rollover of 333,767 tons sold at 2.6. And that is what was hidden from everybody. Because if the prices were better when we're fixing 24, 25 than today, how is it that today COCOBOD is able to fix an FOB of $7,200? And last year when the prices were better, the government and COCOBOD could only fix 4,850. There must be an answer.
Absolutely.
There must be an answer. Because if the prices were better last year, the FOB should be better.
Absolutely.
So how come last year the FOB was 4,850 and this year the FOB is 7.2? But it's because we sold cocoa that we didn't have, and we sold it for 2,600. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And they did not tell anybody about this. I discovered it when I got to COCOBOD and we had off-site meetings. That's when I saw the rollovers.
But
So as I speak with you, for 24-25, we've been able to clear about 230,000 tons.
out of the 333,000.
Yes, we've been able to clear a little over 230,000. So we are carrying forward another 100,000 or so of that. And that is what has also affected the weighted average.
Yes.
What it means is that even for this year, you are a journalist.
Wow.
I sat in this chair from Tuesday to Friday.
Yes.
I never heard about rollover.
Oh, same here.
I never heard about how this had impacted. In fact, when some of the guys in the NDC were saying that the farmer was being cheated and that the farmer deserved better, and they were looking at global prices and using that as an argument, did you ever hear COCOBOD say that, yes, we hear you, that is the truth. However, we have a situation. We signed contracts at 2,600 and couldn't deliver 333,767 tons. And so we now have to use the high price cocoa for 24-25 to also service that. And therefore, you must use the 2.6 as against the high price to arrive at a weighted average. That is why we are not able to give the farmer what you see out there. Did you ever hear anybody tell you that?
How about those who also say that this talk about rollovers is not an entirely new issue, and that in 2016, when the NPP were taking over from the first that Mahama won, the same issue about rollover came up. How do you respond to that?
Okay, so rollovers really won't be strange.
Yes.
But one, you look at the quantum.
Okay.
And two, you look at the impact.
Right.
The 2016-2017 one we're talking about was about 50,000.
Right.
This is the interesting thing that happened. So, and they even made noise about this, especially against Dr. Puni.
So it's not 200,000.
No.
It's 50,000.
It's about 50,000.
Okay.
Now, this is what happened. The prices that those contracts were signed at were better than the prices of the cocoa that was used to service them. So in that case, we used lower price cocoa to service those ones. So we made a gain.
Do you have the data? Do you have the figures?
I can give you that. I can give
The
you
2016 figures.
that. I can give you that. It's
public knowledge.
yes,
That's
it's
fine.
not.
That's
It's
fine.
I dare anybody.
Okay.
The cocoa that was used to service the about 50,000 rollover was priced lower than the contracts for the rollover.
So then that's your gain.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
That is what happened.
So it's a non-issue actually. Let's move. Let's move forward.
In this case, you are talking about 333,767 tons. And the difference in the value, you are talking about somewhere around 6,000. Do the math.
Wow.
Do the math.
It's huge.
And so my point is that when people were speaking about, oh, the farmer deserves better, when the 24-25 price came up,
Yes.
the farmer deserved better, the farmer deserved better. They did not know that this was the reason why. In fact, nobody even knew that the declared FOB was 4,850. And COCOBOD, you can go and check the press statement or the press release for that particular year announcing the new producer price and see whether you find the 4,850 as the declared FOB there. In this current statement by the minister, you see the 7,200. It's there. It's in the statement.
Did it come up at transition?
Well, I wasn't part of the transition, but speaking to those in the transition, they're saying that as expressly stated, it didn't come up. I'm told that it was marked in some figures from 2017. So if you do an analysis of from 2017 to 2024, you might be able to see a certain discrepancy. But my point is that for such a very serious matter, it ought to be a standalone. I look at the handing over notes to me and I see some of the things that have been treated as standalone. They are nowhere hundredth of what a rollover is. But the point I'm just making is that, the point I'm making to you is that 4,850 US dollars was the declared FOB at the time when cocoa prices were higher than today. There was a reason for that. Why was that reason not made known?
Question for the
Are you aware that for 6 quarters, COCOBOD did not provide financials to SIGA? 6 quarters, 1.5 years. They'll provide a operational report, but not a financial. And unfortunately, I have not seen any correspondence from SIGA then, really on COCOBOD's neck to provide those financials.
I'm told that has changed under Professor White.
Professor White is on my phone and my inbox. The documents come, the documents get there, there is something missing. He's immediately on the phone. His officers are on the phone. When the officers get on the phone and I'm sure that they don't get a response, they escalate it to him. He comes back, bro, this document, this, that. Just for the 4 months or so. But I'm telling you, for 6 quarters, COCOBOD did not submit financials to SIGA. What was anybody hiding? So you had people who were in parliament. You had relevant committees in parliament. They didn't have this information. Now, this is information that was at the heart of our earnings from cocoa. That was at the heart of what the farmer was going to earn. That was at the heart of how this industry was going to thrive. So this is what happened.